Hello and oh my god! Have you seen the trailer? This is crazy! What is even going on? Anyway, it's time to break it down. There is a lot, and I mean a lot to uncover, and I'm literally gonna go frame by frame to look at everything that Santa Monica showed us in this new trailer. I'm gonna do a visual shot-by-shot breakdown first, and then I'm gonna talk about the themes and the story and what the characters are actually talking about. This first shot of Arteus touching a birch tree seems to be a parallel to the start of the previous game and Faye's handprint on the tree. My theorist brain immediately went to think that Arteus was the one who left them, but I don't think that really works, plus the hand doesn't leave a mark on the tree, so I think it's just a way to show that Faye's power are manifesting in Arteus. These next couple shots worry me a lot. This looks to be a climactic scene in the game. Kratos dropping his blades and leaving the axe seems like making a sacrifice sort of thing. This seems to be very late in the game and obviously makes me worried. The cabin he's in doesn't look like their hut in Midgard. And I suspect that it's actually this house we see on the map, which I believe belongs to the Norns, and we can actually see outside and it looks like the realm between realms. This could be Vanaheim, but I think this could also be the realm between realms, so it's very interesting whether this decision that Kratos is making is related to the Norns and changing his or Atreus' destiny. We see Tyr being freed, obviously, and I still believe this to be Svartalfheim, which is what the previous trailer suggests, but we spend a lot of time in Alfheim with Tyr in this trailer, and it will be interesting to see what the reason is for us to come back to Alfheim with Tyr specifically. I don't know if this light elf character is important to the story at all, and how does Freyr, the Lord of the Elves, play into it, so that's going to be interesting to see. So, this is Odin. It seems that they are using Richard Schiff's likeness in the game like most other actors. We expected him to look very different, and judging from his appearance and his narration during the trailer, he's definitely gonna be a very, very interesting antagonist and a very unique character. The audio description trailer calls this a prophecy, and it looks like it's about someone leading an army into battle, and that someone, I would guess, is Loki. This could potentially be linked to Groa and her library, or something that showcases a detailed Ragnarok prophecy. This may actually be the reason we visit Alfheim, because we can see Tyr with us in this shot. We see Atreus hold up a ball, which we actually saw in the previous trailer, and it says Hati on it, so I'm assuming this is the thing he uses to control or communicate with the wolves later on in the trailer. Alright, so this drawing, there is a lot to uncover. We see Tyr binded, so this may be showing how to free him or let him out. We also see him traveling with two wolves, which I'm assuming are Skoll and Hati, so I'm guessing we need Tyr for something related to them. We also see a drawing of the Yggdrasil, and Jotunheim is crossed out, so it is possible that traveling to this realm is again impossible, and we have to find a different way into that realm again. It seems important that we go there because there's actually a drawing of Jotunheim which seems very similar to how it looks on the Jotnar map, and this steam or something may be related to the geysers in Svartalfheim, but I'm not sure, so we'll see what that's about. This shot with Freya seems to be very early on in the game in Midgard, and as you can see, this is the moment she finds out that Atreus put the arrow tip that in a way killed Baldur on himself as a trophy of sorts, so she's certainly not gonna be happy about that. I know everyone's focusing on the two Valkyries in these shots, but let's talk for a second about where they are. The visuals in this location seem to be identical to the Ginnunga Gap on the map, so it seems that we're actually in there. But why would we go to the place that started all the realms? I guess for some reason is that it has something to do with time travel. For me, the origin of all the realms somehow is related to Yggdrasil and traveling to the past or the future, but this is obviously speculation. I have nothing to base this on. Now let's talk about the Valkyries. One of them is called Hrist, which I believe has been confirmed to be a character on IMDb, and what's interesting is that they're actually willingly on the side of Odin. They're not corrupted like the Valkyries in the last game, so there seem to be two factions of Valkyries, ones that oppose Odin in a way, and ones that actually support him, so that's interesting how that's gonna play out in the game. This big beast thing seems to be Svartalfheim. This may be the most quote-unquote normal shot in the trailer and our first look at Helheim in the game, which seems to look pretty much identical to how it did in the last game. I detailed why we may go to Helheim in my 9 Realms video if you're interested. Two interesting things about this shot. A, there is a new shield here, which seems to launch enemies into the air and allow us to juggle them, and two, we're fighting the Dark Elves again. So either we're gonna fight the Dark Elves first and then switch to Light Elves, or we're fighting both types of elves on our visit to Alfheim this time. This, I believe, is a Grimm that we've been showed a lot in the recent gameplay, and they seem to be on some sort of lift in Svartalfheim. This, I believe, is our first look at Vanaheim, and as expected, it's a lot of trees and plants. This, according to the audio description, is an Einherjar, and it actually reminds me of the knight-looking characters from the old God of War games, and this sword is really Blade of Artemis-ish, so that's interesting. Another callback to the old games, the grapple hook move is back from God of War 2 and 3 and Ascension, and as we can see, we can transition from the grapple to attacking our enemies with the axe. This shot of Arteus shooting a Dreki actually reminds me of the God of War 2018 reveal trailer where Arteus was trying to shoot a troll in a similar fashion, but he actually doesn't miss this time. New Baldur throwing move with the blades. The audio description trailer calls those things magma creatures. I have no idea what they are, but they don't seem to be alive, and the runes suggest that it's some sort of magical protection. Probably has to do with Surtur or something. Oh, and yeah, this is Muspelheim if you didn't realize. Looks about the same as the last game. This shot could be Vanaheim, but the red trees actually made me think of Freya's home in Midgard, and considering Odin is talking about ruthless killing in this shot, it makes me worried about what Kratos just committed in this shot. Obviously, it has to do with Freya. Could it be that Kratos killed her? Yeah, very much so. And that's worrying. There's a lot of speculation of who this person is that Kratos is carrying in Vanaheim. My dumbass brain immediately went Faye, but that obviously doesn't make any sense. Then I thought it's Freya, then I started seeing Angerboda being thrown around, but the Fucus actually made a great point, and this seems to be Freyr. A, because he looks similar to Freya, and his character design seems to be in line with the figurine we saw in the Jotnar edition. He has the long hair and also his sword. Not to mention, he is being attacked by Freya seemingly, and the Dark Elves are protecting him, which makes sense since Freyr is the Lord of the Elves, so it is very likely that it's actually him. Okay, there's a lot here. First of all, a lot of people pointed out that the Skoll and Hati picture on the map is close to Vanaheim, and that seems to be the case here, so that makes sense. But let's analyze what is actually happening here for a moment. When I watched the trailer for the first time, I thought that Kratos and Atreus are willingly allowing Skoll and Hati to swallow the sun and the moon, but it's actually the opposite. The sun and moon are standing in place, which would allow Skoll and Hati to swallow them and start Ragnarok, but when Atreus is shooting his arrow, the sun actually starts moving, starting the chasing cycle, which seems to be a way to prevent Ragnarok, not started. But why would they do that? And why are the sun and moon not moving? There could be two potential reasons. One, Kratos and Atreus are in the past, and they're actually the ones who sent Skoll and Hati to start chasing the sun and moon, not Odin, as we thought. Or two, Odin actually stops the sun and moon and sends Skoll and Hati back to Earth to prevent Ragnarok, and Kratos and Atreus are sending them back so they can actually catch up and start Ragnarok. Either way, it's very confusing what's going on here, but I can't deny that it's amazing. Here we see Kratos coming back to the light of Alfheim. I'm not sure if this is the purpose of our Alfheim trip with Tyr, but Kratos would definitely be tempted to step into it again to see or hear Faye. Perhaps there is something in there that we need to see or find out, but this mostly seems to be a distraction to Kratos, not his goal. Now, this mermaid creature is obviously very interesting, and after a short search, I came to the conclusion that this is most likely Ran, the goddess of the sea in Norse mythology. She is the wife of the Jotun Aegir of Aegir's gold fame, and interestingly in the mythology, she has a special net that she uses to catch people in the sea, and she gives that net to Loki. So I'm wondering if that's a part of it. Also, the location that they are in may be Aegir's Hall, where Aegir would actually invite a lot of gods to celebrate and drink ale and stuff. This frozen place doesn't look like Midgard to me. It looks too magical. This seems to be perhaps the realm between realms or something Yggdrasil related. We can see a lot of golden ravens, an obvious sign of Odin, and for some reason this part of the tree is frozen, whether because of Fimbulwinter or possibly because of Odin's magic, but I really have no idea what this location could be. At first glance, I thought that this giant jellyfish thing is in the realm between realms, but you can actually see the light of Alfheim in the distance, so this may have to do with coming here for some reason. Unsurprisingly, there are no giant jellyfish in Norse mythology, but also Kratos is holding up Mimir for some reason to potentially communicate with this jellyfish. I just came up with an idea that this may be a rebirth of Jormungandr somehow, but that's a little bit out there and probably not the case. There's Kratos and Tyr being bros in Alfheim, and the important thing here is that Tyr is using the Blades of Chaos, as he likely has no weapon to protect himself on his journey, so Kratos lends him his signature weapons. The battle between Kratos and Thor seems to be happening on the frozen Lake of Nine. We can see Tyr's temple in the distance, which makes me think that Jormungandr is not far behind and is gonna step in at some point soon. This is likely our first battle with Thor in the game, and I'm sure we're gonna have several fights with him. And also there is a cool detail where Thor flicks to bring Mjolnir back to him. Now let's talk about the themes and the story that we've been presented in the story trailer. Arteus talks a lot about secrets and doesn't want to let Kratos know about something that he knows. My assumption or guess is that he had some sort of prophetic vision because of his relation to Freyr that Kratos doesn't want to hear, likely involving the death of Loki and his role in Ragnarok. And overall, the theme of the game seems to be taking control of your own destiny, which ironically is the theme of the Fallen God comics. People got upset because it talked about following your destiny, because in God of War 2, Kratos seemingly takes hold of his own fate. Here we see a similar theme play out. We have followed what Freyr laid out to us literally in the last game, and what she has in store for us in this game may not be good for Kratos and Atreus, likely because it involves them dying, so they would likely attempt to reshape their destiny. The Norns are in the game, as we know, and they're obviously the Sisters of Fate equivalent in the Norse mythology. It's also interesting that Odin is talking about godhood and being worshipped. This is not really something I expected from this game. He talks about how Kratos potentially doesn't even know what it's like to be worshipped or loved by your followers or prayed to, but we know that he was as the god of war. We see it in Ghost of Sparta, but this may be a case of Odin being crazy and being focused on being loved and worshipped by as many people as possible, and Kratos, as a good god, understands that a good god is supposed to serve his people and not the other way around. This theme actually made me think of what David Jaffe suggested for an original God of War 3.
And the way Kratos realizes that you kill gods with finality is that you get people to stop believing in them. So as the gods have ignored man, man begins to turn away from the gods, and that's how Kratos kills all of the gods.
So if the gods stopped being followed, he would stop existing. This doesn't seem to be the case here because, I mean, Kratos is still around, but this is just potentially an interesting idealistic difference between Odin and Kratos in this game. The Valkyries call him Pretender God, which is a fascinating thing to say, and we know that both Odin and Tyr, as expected, know that Kratos is the Ghost of Sparta and everything that he did, and it seems that Odin is pushing Kratos to reveal that older side and in a way snap to the way he was before, and Kratos' challenge is to show to himself and to his son that he is still the good god that he fought hard to become in the last game. And I believe that's it. That's all I could find. I'm sure I missed a lot, and if I did, please let me know in the comments. The game looks amazing, and it's so close now. It's still a little hard to comprehend how much we saw. This makes me very, very excited. This game is gonna be something special. Again, please let me know if I missed something. Thank you very, very much for watching, and see you next time.